Hi, thanks for tuning into my channel. Now I know it's a great thing to follow up the history. It's also a great thing to appreciate where you've come from. But I always ask myself this question: should Africa be complaining about colonialism up to now? Should we continue complaining about slave trade? I mean, like, how many countries were colonized? Almost every country. If you find out from most of the countries, find out about most of the countries, almost all of many countries were colonized. But even still, there are countries in Africa which were not colonized. I think Ethiopia was not colonized. A few countries, but that is the one I know. Should we keep on the complaint desk complaining about colonialists? Because I hear this often, especially from the politicians. Even some people, they still think that Africa is backward because of the colonialists. I mean, even many Arab countries were colonized. Far East Asian countries like Singapore, whatever, these countries, all of them were colonized. That was the leadership of those days. Kingdoms used to expand, So part of the territories were in Africa, some were in Asia, especially by the European kingdoms. So, but should we keep on complaining about colonialists up to today? Who is currently in charge of your country? I know there are situations where they still think that some countries are still attached to their colonies. That is a topic for another day. But who is currently in charge? Should you blame colonialists for poor management of your countries? Should you blame colonialists for corruption? I want us to ask ourselves this. Colonialism should not be an excuse for mismanaging a country. And this is part of the manipulation that many of the leaders are using. They try to bring more of history, to try to divert of the attention from real issues. So if you're gonna push all your excuses to 30 years back or 50 years back, what about the currently? What are you doing? What are you doing with your leadership? Your government policies? What are you doing with corruption? I mean, in many of these countries, there's a lot of compromise. There's a lot of compromise on all kinds of issues. They have very good policies, but they will still compromise some in one way or the other. They come up with very good constitutions, but they will still change. And it's majorly for selfish intentions. Now, we need to come to reality, I mean, this is a big problem, and I want us to share a lot, in this channel, and really look at seriously our own issues as Africa. We shouldn't divert off to blame other people when we have the solution to our own problems. And I want us to really engage with ourselves in this channel. I know you have also very great ideas that is going to build on a better Africa. We're going to mentor better leaders. And if you are tuning in this to the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing so that next time I produce another video, you'll be notified about it. Now, I want us to see a few basic things that Africa needs to do instead of just continue to blaming the colonialists. If we are not under this, if this did not happen to us, that will not help us for now. All right, so I want us to look at some of the very basic things that Africa needs to do. I know you have good ideas too, but I want us to hold our leadership into accountability. They should account for what happens today. They should not refer us to history. What are you doing about today? I know many of the African leaders, they will always refer to when they came in power. I know a few of them, especially the countries I've lived in. They always refer to when they came to power compared to the current situation. But sometimes it will always be better. But is that your target? Where is the world going? So please, let's hold those in leadership to account. And sincerely, Africa needs to get rid of the bad leaders. And this is through sensitization. If we are going to start this, even through media, our people should be enlightened. Many people appreciate the leaderships they are in because they don't have an option, or they never experience a different kind of governance. They have never traveled to other countries. They don't know what is it to be in a successful country, in a peaceful environment. They don't know what an organized leadership is, where where they developed a good system of governance that doesn't depend on the leader only, a system that is for all. So we need to get rid of really the bad leadership for Africa to move ahead. If you ask anybody from any part of the world, by the way, they will say Africans are very good, but the leadership, see? So we need to reach a time that we say enough is enough. We get rid of all the bad leaders. Most of the leadership in Africa is brought in by business people. Because of what they call the pseudo democracy. The competition involves a lot of money, and business people put in money. Or even in cases of a rebellion, the buying of guns is done by another group of people, business people, who have their own interests. And once somebody is put in power, they have demands. And this keeps countries dragging, And these are things the leaders, those who put in power, they don't talk about. But the countries are bleeding. So we need to see a way of getting rid of the bad leadership. We need to mentor. Even through this channel, we're going to mentor some very good leaders. Through this, Africa needs to revive the education system that corresponds to the environment in which they are operating in. That we have now stretches. We're trying to catch up with the Western world, but they're a bit ahead, and we got our own local issues that we need to sort out. So our education system should be able to focus on what the country needs at the moment. So it's very common now that you even have graduates who cannot connect to their surrounding. They cannot connect to where they come from. You will have suggestions about this, but I know there is need for education reform so that we are able to solve the current situations in Africa. And importantly, let's empower our people. Yeah, I think Africa has this history that it doesn't want to empower people really. Those in leadership try to gather things for themselves. That's why we have the Egyptian pyramids. The kings saw it as the most important thing, to be buried in a very nice place. We don't have skyscrapers in Egypt. We never had any other thing for the people. We only remember where the kings were buried. And this is still what is happening in Africa up to now. Why don't you empower your people? So other continents which empowered their own people, they later conquered Africa. And this is still what is happening until now. Africa is now empowering multinational companies. They come and get minerals from any country. And the surrounding people, they are struggling. You see small kids who are supposed to go to school, they are struggling. Why don't you empower your own people? There is nothing impossible with this. Africans go to Europe, they go to America, and you see them performing very well. Why? Because these countries have put in place infrastructure that makes people thrive. Why don't you build the same infrastructure in Africa? Some people say that Africans are lazy, but Africans are not lazy. They just lack the basic infrastructure that challenges them. That challenges them to work. That challenges them to pay that money, that mortgage for their house. That pushes them, you know. They need some standards to be set. So I know you have so much other great ideas about this, but I'm thinking we're gonna change a few things. A few countries have tried to change a few things, like Rwanda. A few of our countries, they're trying to change a few things, but it's still struggling because of some basics that we need to come, some realities that we need to face as Africans. Leave alone developing systems in government that work independently. We also need to rebrand our countries, give it a new look. There's a lot. Many of these countries have thrived, even here in the Middle East, because the countries were rebranded. It's not about really that because of a specific leader, but what countries do you want? What type of country do you want to build? What do you want to be good at? This is what Africa needs to do. When we do this, we're going to avoid Africans running to other countries. We're going to avoid hate and fighting and rebel activities and all this. I know I'm going to be talking about some of these topics, but this is the start. What do you think about this? What do you think? Should Africa continue blaming the colonialists or maybe slavery or anything? Tell me what you think. I'm sure you have also very great ideas. All right, nice being with you. See you next time. Bye.